Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So, Alliance War Season 54 is coming here. It is going to be a shorter season due to the holidays. And the meta is going to be what people voted for. So this time around again, nobody has any kind of like reason to throw shade at Kabam for the nodes and meta because the people on the Discord server from MCOC community voted this meta in. So there are some other interesting changes and let's get to them. So welcome to another changelog Alliance for Season 54. There's some exciting new changes. Timeline pre-season starts November 13th, so today, and the season will start on November the 27th. So schedule changes, because we know how stressful Alliance War can be. We are planning a schedule change for Season 54, which was originally supposed to be going over the holiday season. Because of this, we have decided to cut the last week of War from the season. The week that would normally be dedicated to War will be given to a Season 55 off-season. So the dates will be as follows. Season 54 starts on November 27th and lasts till November 18th. And then lasts till December 18th. December 18th till January the 7th is the off season. We hope for our holiday season will be cherished, and if everything remains clean, we will be the standard going forward throughout the Alliance War cycle. So we might have 3 weeks off, 3 weeks on Alliance War, which I'm not entirely sure how it's going to feel, but shorter Alliance War seasons, I guess. And here's going to be the biggest change, the scoring changes. As mentioned before, we'll be changing the way that scoring is calculated for this season of Alliance War. The one thing that we believe is an incredibly negative experience within the game is how deaths were effectively calculated for war. Because of the season bonus, one war could be the decider of an entire alliance chance at placing in their favored tier. We don't believe this is healthy, and it creates stressful seasons for players, especially if it focuses around one death. As a result, we are going to be decreasing the season bonus for single wars to alleviate from 30,000, which again with the highest multiplier works out as 240,000, I believe, or 210. For a match bonus win to a 5,000 for a match. So effectively, this will make it much more important how many times you die a war, or whether you win the war or not. Obviously, winning is still going to be important, but if you lose a war where both alliances die, 1 to 2 times, and there are alliances who get consistently easy matches dying, 30 times and keeps on winning, this kind of offsets that, unfair matchmaking. And on behalf of the matchmaking, I'm still not decided whether I'm going to be making a video about the docks and all the other drama situation currently unfolding about high tier war, but having experienced new alliance basically, I can definitely tell you that matchmaking is breaking some alliances, and I will just put it straight up. For instance, in case of my previous alliance, New Nation, they get the shortest end of the stick possible, always matching all of the toughest alliances multiple times, and often fighting to get in Masters or fighting to get in top 10 just because of how many times they matched like GT40, Salty, and all the rest of the strongest alliances in game. And now Next, I'm just not gonna sugarcoat it. It's like Next got an easier war schedule to a point it was significantly noticeable. So there is massive differences how Alliance War schedule effectively affects your season. It hasn't been good for a really long time, and now I can definitely see it much more clear. So I do think this is ultimately a good change, because alliances that have a harder schedule but still play well will be on average able to place higher than they used. You could even argue that maybe that 5,000 is still too much, but who knows. Right. Now Alliance Wars will be going from a single wars deciding alliance placement overall over season performance. If you lose the war, you have time to make up for it in later wars if you play a performance consistent across the 12 war seasons. That kind of checks out. Defensive tactic tuning, and this is again something that we voted for, and it is going to be Sugar Pill and Decay. And I'm not gonna lie, most of the people that I recall liked this meta quite a lot. The defensive tactic is quite nasty. It is evil if you do not have a right proper counter. Making contact with the defender has a 100% chance to grant the attacker a 12-second placebo buff at max 5. At max charges, buffs will refresh themselves instead of reapplying a new one. Whenever a buff expires or is nullified from the opponent, 33% chance for the defender to gain an unstoppable passive. So unless you're using a buff immune champion or a tactic attacker, or a champion that consistently has access to slow, this can turn out to be quite rough, with opponents going unstoppable left, right, and center. Attack tactic, however, is completely OP. With this attack tactic, like hazard shift lanes are a joke, because you can use any attack tactic champion for them, and a lot of other champions become significantly easier just because of presence of decay. So attackers are immune to placebo buffs. Whenever they trigger a buff immunity, inflict a 20% wither debuff on the opponent lasting 8 seconds. Max 5, attackers gain a 35% resistance to damage over time effects for each debuff on the defender. This also included like bursts and stuff like that. And when the defender is knocked down, there is a 25% chance per debuff to activate on them and inflict 10 seconds slow, basically. So, you're gonna be controlling any champion's extra power gain. You will have access to a reliable 10 seconds slow, and you will ignore all the dot effects coming in your direction. And the champions that are in the tactic pool, one second, I need to find them. I thought I had them lined up here, but let's just open them up. My apologies. Here we go. And these are the tactic champions, saga tactic champions. So instead of taking them from the list, we can take a look at the picture. So defenders will be Red Skull, most notably like Prowler, Iron Man, Jack-O-Lantern, even though he's not much of a defender, Punisher 2099, Lady Deathstrike, Nimrod, Mysterio, Shocker, Will Vision, Warlock, Chavez, Ebony Maw, Juggernaut, Spiral, Purgatory, Longshot, Werewolf by Night, Kindred, Man-Thing, Spidey, and then we have Sasquatch and Wong. And attackers that are going to be completely OP for the next war season will definitely be Spider-Ham, Silk, Massacre. I wonder how well Medusa is going to do. Then obviously we do have also Photon, who's going to be crazy good in attack. Luke Cage, I remember Quicksilver being crazy good as well. I think it was a bit harder with Hulk because he doesn't inflict the debuffs at the beginning, but fair enough. Well, still Hulk, and then, yeah, Serpent's also an attacker. I actually have used a strangely large amount of Serpent in attack recently. Additionally, the best champion in the entire game is also a tactic champion, which may or may not have something to do with me kind of committing to that rank up at the time, but Morbius. Morbius is going to be OP with the decay. Trust me on that one. Interestingly enough, there's another theory that's spawning now. Because as we can see, one of these champions is not quite like another class sprinkled in. Interestingly as well, decay champions are Science, Cosmic, Skill, and one mutant, right? We do know that Purgatory got a buff, like one of the 6 buffs that was promised. We do know that. We also know that Sentry is getting buff, right? Where's Sentry here? Sentry is getting a buff. Black Panther got a buff, and Medusa got a buff. And there are changes to the Decay and Sugar Pill champion pools, largely like including these champions as well, right? Now the only class that isn't represented here, aside from one mutant, well, we do not have, but we have Mystic and Tech, Science and Skill, and Mutant and Cosmic. Who's missing? Oh, no, everybody's here. 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go. Anyways, so where was I? We have two classes that still need to be buffed. Mutant class, right? Right. And tech class. So it stands to reason that Deadpool X-Force is practically confirmed to be the buff for the mutant class. And I'd put some money down now. If there was a bookie making that bet, I'd say that Deadpool X-Force is going to be the champion that gets buffed in December as well. And then you need to look at these champions over here, where we can see Vulture, Red Skull, Darkhawk, Prowler, Silver Warrior, Iron Man Jack, Puncher 2099, Lady Deathstrike, War Machine, Warlock, Vision, Shocker, Nimrod, and Mysterio. So from those, could it be Darkhawk? Because Darkhawk's like the one champion that has never been buffed. Vulture got a buff, Red Skull got a buff, Prowler is new, Silver Warrior did get a buff. Iron Man obviously did get a buff. Puncher 2099, you would say that he doesn't really need one. He's quite popular as is. War Machine did get a buff. Lady Deathstrike probably will never get one. Vision is fairly solid. Shocker is very good. Nimrod's definitely not getting buffed, and I doubt it's going to be Mysterio. Is Darkhawk getting buffed? Is the big question. What do you think? Is Darkhawk getting buffed? Alright, back to the Alliance War season. So the final boss nodes are getting updated a bit. So alongside the stun immunity, now we're going to have Subterfuge knockdown, which is every time you knock down the defender, they gain a fury buff. Nothing too major. Adaptive, champion boosts, yada yada yada. Here's the lists that we went through already. And the whitelist and blacklist. So for elite, blacklist, Lady Deathstrike and Luke Cage. Luke Cage has gone up in the world, man. Whitelist, Silk and Count Nefaria, which is very good because Silk is going to be insanely good attacker for next meta. Expert, Blacklist, Lady Deathstrike, Count Nefaria, Whitelist, Silk and Shuri. And there you go for challenges. Definitely interesting in the tech part. How do you guys think which one of these tech champions is getting a buff? I'd say Darkhawk. Either way, that is it for now. Quite an interesting update for Alliance War, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about the